We have seen in detail about the risk management plan and how to represent a plan. Now we will see in detail about the WBS, the work breakdown structure. A work breakdown structure is a representation of the scope of the project. So I'm sure all of us know what is a work breakdown structure, and these things, the template of the work breakdown structure, it depends upon the company to company. If it is a small project, you won't go in detail. We will use a different template of WBS. And if it is a huge project, what processes you are following, it all depends on that. So it comprises a tree structure that hierarchically represents the project and its component deliverables. A WBS project, it should include 100% of the scope because it helps you for tracking. And the deliverables, literally everything has to be, whenever there is written in the WBS, it has to be delivered to the client. It is shared with the customers. To construct a WBS, start with the overall project and break into component deliverables. Then break each deliverables into component part. For example, if it is a requirement gathering stage, you can break down into what are the outputs deliverable. The end product of the requirement gathering will be the requirement document. Likewise, you should keep breaking that parts down into smaller levels of detail until the pieces are both achievable and manageable. And my personal rule of thumb for this task is that the smallest node should comprise deliverables that won't take longer than 2 or 3 days to achieve, because in that way it is very easy to track. And again, a rule for large and complex projects is, whenever you talk about the WBS, because your large project will have very small teams, it can be broken down into small team. One team may be working in some component development, the other team in some other testing team. It could be a testing team. So it's better to have WBS ready for large. You can't have a WBS for 4 to 5 months and 6 months down the lane. So it's better to have WBS for 1 month. So that's how it should be. Equally, you don't want to plan milestone that takes mere hours to complete. For example, 2 hours, 3 hours, that we can't include in the WBS. It will be difficult to manage. And also it will affect your personal productivity as a project manager or as a team lead to track the things hourly basis. A WBS can be represented in number of ways. So one could be through PowerPoint, one could be through Visio. So it also depends upon the company to company. Some company, they have project management softwares. They would have purchased project management software, and they tailor according to the company's need. The project managers can start from planning to till the tracking can be done with a singular project management tool. So when we talk about choose software that you are comfortable with that, and that you should choose the software. And but in some companies, they give the convenience to you. We can detail out the WBS contents in an Excel. So, or using Microsoft Project. It also depends on your comfort level, which tool you are comfortable with. And that allows you to draw boxes and arrows quickly, or offers inherent tools for creating hierarchical diagrams. Once you have become used to drawing WBS diagrams, you may find that you can just as easily plot them on paper and turn them into deliverables in the normal text. So I would highly recommend you to at least start with the hierarchy. So it is a tree-like structure, and I'm sure all of you will be using it. So it is just a brush up sessions for the project management. It's on the basic level of project management. Then comes Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is the diagram most people think of what they think of the words project plan. So mostly it is used by all the companies and by most of the project managers. Traditionally, it lists the task involved in the project on the left hand side, with bars representing each task duration overlaid on a calendar to the right. As we know that the things are changing, so nowadays the Gantt chart is available in the Microsoft project software, and it can be easily used. Here you can clearly see the dependencies in Microsoft project software. And also when we talk about the Gantt chart, then it will be easy to depict in using software tools like Microsoft project, because you can put various It allows you to put various buffers, so many things you can use, and various view also it provides you. And it is easy to communicate those charts to the customer. It is easy to communicate the project schedule through these Gantt chart to the customer. So it is very visible and it is very easy to use. So here I'm assuming that some of the tasks won't be concurrent. So then the Gantt chart looks very proper. But there are certain tasks which are very concurrent and parallel. Then you have to figure it out how to represent those. So traditional project management techniques would have you assign each deliverables to the team member who will be working on it, then perform what's called resource leveling. This is the process by which you identified that some people in your team have a daily workload of 200%, whereas others are operating at 20% of capacity. And this is the idea. Once you have identified these discrepancies, you can reallocate the task. Because whenever we do a Gantt chart, whenever we do a scheduling, it happens mostly that and that too in large teams, some of the resources are overloaded, some are not having work. So resource leveling is one part that Microsoft project software can easily help. The reality with modern knowledge work, however, is that specific skills are usually required for particular tasks. Reallocating coding work to your design specialist isn't very likely to speed up the project. But perhaps more realistically, bringing someone into the team for 2 weeks when there is intensive coding to be done may also slow the project down rather than speed it up. I have seen in practical situations where clients come to me and say that we want this project to be delivered within 1 week, 2 weeks, and you can just speed up the work by putting more resources. Usually, this is not a good idea because just putting more resources does not guarantee the work to be delivered very quickly, because the new members take a lot of time. And second is, whenever there is a lot of people in the project, then it's very, as the 80-20 principle goes on. So that is very difficult to allocate the work. And because when they are new to the project, they will take some time for them to be productive. So all these things has to be taken into consideration. So usually a preferred approach to resource allocation and leveling is to manage these functions on short term, rolling basis within the team. Team members can often figure out a smarter ways of helping each other. Then you can predict weeks ahead time on your own. That's why the agile methodologies, if you have handled agile projects, they have iteration basis, and the estimates are based on that, because it current demand of the customers of changing requirements frequently. And when it happens, it's always better. I have seen the client comes to me and yes, we need to plan for 1 year, because they need that planning for budgeting purposes from their side. But it is always better to tell the customer that there are chances of re-estimation, and this could be a higher level of estimation only. And because at the end, due to the changes, it's better to plan and create all these things on a short term basis. Obviously, if the initial plan proves that you need an extra programmer, designer, or skilled resources, you can expand team. And it is my personal experience. For example, when again I take the redesigning the framework example, where I have to design the entire framework in the new technology for an application, then initially whatever my estimates, my WBS I have created, it has to be taken step by step. I'll take a simple transaction and master screen. For example, for the financial module, I can take one master screen, I can implement in the new framework and give the estimates, give the WBS to the client, and then I start expanding once I have a confidence in the team that yes, they can achieve it, because one prototype, one functional module is already ready. So this is how you should go about it. I have seen many project managers, many project fails due to the client pressure that they want to go live within certain date. So they just say that we want the product by this date. But it is always better to know that how deep the work will be. Even though having technical experts doesn't guarantee the execution, because it's not, we need to understand the complexities of the software system, the business logic. So it takes certain time. So if we are going to deliver within 2-3 months, which are going to take 6 months, 7 months, then we need to understand that it has to be planned properly, And we need, as a project manager, we need to understand the team can expand. Certain times there are in most of the projects in the service industry, for the software project, the project managers put more resources while execution, they take more resources, and then afterwards definitely in the closure or the next support stage, the resources of the team size get reduced. So this is how it is done.